And we are now going to have Ocarina of Time 3D with Gymnast 86.
All right. Sounds like we're ready to go. So let's waste absolutely no time and just jump right into this. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so this is going to be The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D, meaning that this is the 3DS version of the game, not the N64 version, in case anybody was confused. And with me today, I have these lovely commentators with me. If you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hey, I'm Zahir.
I'm Megahertz.
I'm Nerds with Game.
Yeah, and so we're really excited to show you guys this category today. This is the MST category, which stands for Medallions, Stones, Trials. What essentially that means is we need to collect all the medallions, collect all the spiritual stones, and then beat the trials in Ganon's Tower before completing the game. It's kind of, or it seems kind of like a really, well, not really random set of things, but a sort of weird set of things to do, because this category is sort of somewhat of a legacy when it comes to Ocarina of Time speedrunning. It sort of came about as the speedrunning community, like a decade ago, began to find more breaks in the original game, and they wanted a category that sort of still went through most of the game while still breaking it. All right, so right off the bat here, even though we don't have control of Link yet, I actually have to make sure that I'm focusing right now, because there's this really weird thing this game has called quick text, where, okay, so see right there, that text box was pretty much instant. As were those. So basically, there's one frame on the initiation of some text boxes where if you press the B button on that frame, the text box will just instantly pass by with no scrolling, even though it's not meant to do that. And so that's very interesting. It's cool because it saves time, but it's interesting because it means that the language which is the fastest will be different depending on which quick text you get. So, like, there isn't really a fastest language for this game, unless, like, you don't do quick text at all. Then I think the fastest is, like, Portuguese or something. But because of quick text, we typically just all play on English because of that.
Jim mentioned that the quick texts are all one frame. If you're familiar with the N64 version, that runs at 20 FPS. However, when it was brought over to the 3DS, they increased it to 30 FPS, so frame perfect inputs are a little bit harder.
And the amount of time you save for the quick text is actually pretty significant. Like, just in that sequence, he saved, like, 9 seconds?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of time when it adds up over the whole run. Although, interestingly, quick text, there are some situations where it doesn't work. It doesn't work when you have black text on a white background, and it doesn't work in shops for whatever reason. So, yeah, anyway, enough about text, because I don't think anyone here wants to hear about text for 2.5 hours. So let's get control of Link here. All right, so into more cutscenes. Very exciting. Now, normally when you start off Ocarina of Time, as I'm sure most people know, you need to go get the Kokiri sword, you need to buy a Deku shield, and then you need to go to the Great Deku Tree and beat Goma to get the Kokiri's Emerald. But of course, this is Ocarina of Time, it's completely broken, so we're not going to do that. So instead, we're going to go get the Kokiri sword, and then we're going to escape the forest. So as far as movement goes, backwalking and rolling are typically our fastest options. As far as easy movement goes, frame-perfect side-hopping as Child Link is faster than both of those, but frame-perfect side-hopping everywhere isn't really practical. And there's also situations like this where we can chain together side-hops and backwalking movement for what's known as box movement, because we're moving in sort of a, like, angular, 90-degree perpendicular movement kind of style. Works well in some situations, but it's not applicable everywhere.
Trev would approve of that box movement.
Alright, so here's our sword.
So now we just gotta get the shield, right?
No. Alright, so after we finish coming out of this log, we're going to be escaping the forest with a 3DS exclusive trick known as a triple slash clip. It's actually, the technique itself is very easy to perform. You just slash your sword 3 times, then put it away. And so we're going to use it to clip through this guard right here, as soon as I destroy the sign. Yeah, the angle for this is a little weird, though. Okay, there we go. And then we're just going to drop this guard through the map, and there he goes. And now we've escaped the forest.
You can actually roll past the guard without dropping him into the hole, but it's entirely more satisfying to drop him in.
Oh, yes, of course. But yeah, so there are actually multiple ways we can escape the forest. We could have not gotten a sword at all and just bought some Deku Nuts and done a trick called walking while talking to escape. We can also do a Navi dive to escape through Lost Woods. But the reason we come out this way and with the Kokiri sword is because we want the fairy ocarina.
If you're familiar with this category on N64, they don't even get this ocarina anymore, if I remember correctly. But on 3D, the ocarina is rather important because we have glitches that we can use in lieu of the ocarina, but not until we get an item that we need the ocarina to get.
Yeah, so we have some more cutscene time coming up here. We can probably read some donations.
Sure thing. We have $10 from Noah Johnson, who says, "Hey, Jim, good luck, my dude. You're the best."
Thank you.
We have $25 from Robert Langhoff, who says, "Good luck on the run, gymnast. Sorry I couldn't be there. Gonna try to watch as much as I can at work. Woo me!" We have $15 from Abadidia, who says, "I'll donate another $15 if you do the entire rest of the run blindfolded, Jim. I believe in you."
That, I don't know if we can make that happen. That's probably not doable. Give me like a decade and I might do that.
We have $25 from Bird126, who says, "First time donating, extremely excited for Ocarina 3D. Donation goes to Vice City for the 80s vibes."
All right, so after this exciting backwalking that we did, we're going to climb up the... Hold on a second, make sure I got a good angle. All right, we're going to side hop up these chains and get the red rupees that are normally up here. Because we're actually going to buy a Deku Shield with these red rupees. We're just not going to buy it in Kokiri Forest.
Getting the rupees on the chain there wastes no time because we are limited by, or we need to do something at the next dawn. So getting rupees out there wastes the in-game time and lets it advance.
Yeah, so if we didn't take the time to line up to get the correct angle to side hop up those chains, we would have just ended up waiting longer when we got to the next dawn. So thankfully we have spare time to do that. Although when we're in the market town, time doesn't pass there, so we want to make sure we spend as little time as possible when we're in there. And we do have to reload the Hyrule Castle area twice to make sure that Malin appears. We also get to talk to this lovely owl again. So some text in this game, like the owl text, that is normally quick text, so that goes by quickly very easily.
Just have to be careful to not get into a talking loop with the owl, like I always did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Hours talking to that owl.
Thankfully, you can't advance by pressing B. In the original game, you could press either A or B to say yes, but in this game, you can only do that with A. So thankfully, because quick text is mashing with B, you can just easily do the quick text as you want.
Thanks, Grezzo.
Yeah.
One of the few good changes Grezzo made.
Yeah, Grezzo is the company that developed this game for the 3DS that like Nintendo hired them to do it. And some of the changes they made to this game were interesting, to say the least. I'm sure Nerds has a whole list of things he would like to talk about, how Grezzo changed the game for 2 hours.
Yeah, no. This is about the run, not Grezzo.
Alright, so again, we're just waiting for the next dawn to appear so that our egg hatches. Oh well.
No box clip today.
Yeah, you can clip into that box. Doesn't save any time, but you can clip into the box, so hey. And now we're waiting.
An important thing to note is he equipped the egg to the Y button because that has a physical button as well as the touch button you could use. And when dawn happened and you got the text box that says the egg hatch, he can't use any of the touch buttons, but because he had it on a physical button, he could use it while the text box is up and save the time it takes for that text box.
Yeah, so 2 of the buttons are touchscreen, and 2 of them you can use with the X and Y buttons, or the touchscreen optionally. Also, thankfully, we don't need both milk crates. We can just use one and jump across to the sewers. And now it's time for the guards. So these guards are usually not very good at their job unless they're extremely good.
There's no middle ground. There's no okay guards.
Yeah, the only way to consistently get past guards is to do frame-perfect side hops all the way through.
Yeah, you need 2 consecutive frames on the ground to get caught. And frame perfect side hopping, you're on the ground for only 1 frame, so you can just go right through. And if you notice when the camera just transitions, if you're caught but you keep doing side hops into one of those camera transitions, they can't catch you on the other side of the transition, except for one really dumb edge case.
Thankfully, those guards were pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah,
Didn't get caught.
nicely done.
And so now we can go and talk to Zelda. Nothing really to see during this cutscene except a little more quick text. I guess, though, we also lie to Zelda because she asks if we have the spiritual stone of the forest, and we say yes.
It doesn't let you say no.
So we can read more donations right now.
Sure thing. We have $15 from the Sticky Stick Man, who says, "Greetings from Sheffield, England. I didn't realize there was going to be a marathon until I saw the channel go live. I guess I'm staying up late to watch the Mario Odyssey run now. Money goes to Gymnast's Choice." $10 from Valena, who says, "Can't help it. Every time I catch it live, I have to donate a little, no matter how slim the wallet is. Keep on keeping on, good folks." We have $25 from Hina Lover, who says, "Nice surprise that there is a mini GDQ in October, and I will have this running all weekend. Wanted to get this in during the Ocarina of Time block, the game I played the most while in high school. Have fun at TwitchCon, and I will be attending my first GDQ during the closing weekend of HDQ in January."
That's a great goddess cutscene. Let's watch essentially the same thing later on in the run. How about that?
Yeah. So the reason that we came to Zelda right away is because we do need Zelda's Lullaby for some parts in the run. But the next part of this run is not really the most exciting thing because we're going to kind of go through the game naturally up until we get bombs from Dodongo's Cavern. Well, naturals in quotes a little bit because there is a bunch of cool speed tech we can do. But we are sort of following the game's natural progression until that point, and the main reason for that is because getting the bombs in Dodongo's Cavern is the fastest way that we can get explosives in this game. And when you get explosives is when you can really sort of start breaking the game open pretty wide for sequence breaks and lots of cool glitches. It is possible to delay getting explosives for a while, but eventually you do still need them, and the process of getting them, even if you delay them at first, is still really long.
If you're so every glitch category of every important glitch category of OT3D up until a couple months ago followed this progression of Forest Escape, getting Zelda's Lullaby, getting bombs as quickly as possible. Hundo had a slight alteration just to collect some items that were on the way, but up until a couple months ago, that was the progression of every major glitch category. Although 2 months ago, thanks to the guy that's on that chair up there, we found a clip that is an alternative alternative way to get an item that before we needed explosives to get that breaks the game open up into different sequence breaks. However, it requires two really, 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 really dumb tricks.
Yeah, tricks that are not even close to marathon safe.
Yeah. We think it would save time in this category, and we have a couple of route options, but no one's really done any timing just because the two tricks are very difficult and hard to get consistent, so no one really wants to do them.
Yeah, in case you're wondering, those two tricks involve the infinite sword glitch, which, if you're familiar with the original game, you're like, oh, the infinite sword glitch, that's easy to do, right? You just crouch stab something and talk to Navi or talk to a sign or whatever. That's not the case in Ocarina of Time 3D. In Ocarina of Time 3D, getting the infinite sword glitch is really hard because the conventional method of infinite sword glitch was actually patched. So the only way that we can get infinite sword glitch in Ocarina of Time 3D is by dying into a heart drop during a jump slash, which is not exactly the most easy or convenient thing to do.
It's as hard as it sounds.
And you have to do it twice
Yeah.
in order to...
Yeah, you have to do it once to get into the Magic Fairy Fountain, and then once to get into the Pharaoh's Wind Fairy Fountain. And you'll actually see later on in this run why we want Pharaoh's Wind.
Yeah, and even once you get ISG, putting your sword away will actually cancel ISG, which isn't true in the original game either. So it's very easy to lose, and you can't really do much with it once you have it, for the most part.
Yeah, there are a couple ways to put your sword away, and they can be difficult to set up.
Alright, so now we have to show the guard the letter. I think in the original game on English, this cutscene was like 40 seconds long or something ridiculous. But thanks to quick text, goes by super fast here, which is great. All right, very nice.
Just me, or did that gate open faster too? Look at all the great changes.
All right, so now we're at Death Mountain Trail, and here we're hopefully going to see some cool speed tech that will shorten our traversal up the mountain a little bit. All right, so I'm going to get to the right side of this Tech Titan, and I'm going to let him hit me while I'm holding ESS position. Oh, okay. Unfortunately, I targeted him, which kind of ruins the whole thing. But if you saw for a second there, there was actually a period of time where I was moving really fast, faster than backwalking or normal rolling up the mountain. And that's what's known as a forward extended super slide. Forward because it goes forward, and extended super slide, or ESS for short, because it uses the extended super slide circle pad position, which is a position that's just barely outside the dead zone, where Link is barely moving at all.
The fest that he was trying to do, fest is what we call it. That is roughly two-thirds faster than backwalking, and we have the ability to change our angle, which is really nice. But you have to hold a somewhat precise position on the control stick, and changing directions can sometimes be hard.
Yeah, so now what we're doing after we came into Goron City is we're going to be getting a Deku stick from the room with Darunia and opening up the path to Lost Woods. Because if we want to get into Dodongo's Cavern, we need the Goron bracelet. Shoutouts to AaronToad99.
AaronToad67.
And to get the Goron bracelet, we need to play Saria's song for Darunia. So we will be lighting these torches up the way so that our Deku stick does not burn out. Every time you light a torch, the Deku stick timer resets. Nice jump slash.
When people are casually doing playthroughs, it's often see them try and put their stick away as quickly as possible and re-pull it out because they don't want it to burn out. But little do they know, as Jim said, it just it resets its burn timer. And now that Jim has a stick, he actually could skip this owl text. It's dumb. It saves a little bit of time, but he'd have to do it twice to save time.
Yeah.
Are you going for the third owl text?
I could. I'm probably not going to get it because I've only ever gotten it once.
Basically, if you're switching between your sword and the stick, you can move for a couple frames before you start a slash animation. So if you just keep changing between the two, you can keep yourself in a busy state and just not talk to the owl.
And unfortunately, that Wolfos decided to run around us a little bit. All right, so now we need to make our way as best we can through the Sacred Forest Meadow. Hopefully, we don't die.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Jim, don't be bad.
It's okay, nerds. I'm not bad. I don't have a 3-hour any % time.
3 hour, 54 minutes? That didn't do the any % route?
Then why'd you submit it to the any % leaderboards?
We don't have no I am wrong warp.
All right. We really like to pick on nerds.
Well, at least we made it in one piece.
Yeah, with only half a heart left. Oof.
Yeah, thank goodness for rolling invincibility. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Saria's just chilling. While we're learning Saria's song, we can read another donation or two.
All right, here is a donation of $64 we received from Yggdrasil, who said, "Long-time watcher, excited to be here live for the first time. Good luck on the run, Jim."
Thank you.
And just one more here from Last Breeze, a $10 donation saying, "Go Jim, I wish you pantsless luck."
That's a really old joke from my chat. Glad someone remembers that. All right, so we got Saria's song. Now we have to go all the way back through Sacred Forest Meadow.
Just be careful.
Don't die.
All right, I think we should backwalk this time because we did side hops last time. Except, wait a minute. Oh, no.
You should have rolled.
Jim, you're bad.
I know, I'm very bad. All right, but yeah, obviously, this is a death warp. It's going to spawn us back at the beginning of the Sacred Forest Meadow because this is originally where we came out of. Oh,
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah, so that's the weapon swapping I was talking about a little bit earlier. It's really difficult because if I remember the timing correctly, going from stick to sword is a 4-frame window, but going from sword to stick is a 1-frame window.
Yeah.
So it's easy if you have a beat, because if you can get a beat going, it's really easy. But if you get off that beat, you're probably gonna fail it.
Yeah, so I've only ever gotten that once. That's actually like the second furthest I've ever gotten through that. So
Yeah, no, that's
that
actually
was pretty good.
honestly impressive how far you made it.
All right. Hello, Big Muscle Rock Man. I have a song to play for you. It's quite a hot song, also.
Hot beat.
Do 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 do
My
do.
depression, it just feels like it's going away.
And yeah, this text we can't skip through, so we have to listen to all of his ohs and come-ons. What a hot beat. All right, dancing is over. Now we can go through more lovely quick text. Ooh, that was good.
Beautiful.
Oh, and topped off by that. That is beautiful. That looks like completely... I don't think anyone else is impressed by that, but I'm impressed that I was able to do that.
So impressed you just accidentally hit that wall.
That too, yeah. All right, but now we finally have the Goron bracelet, so we can go to Dodongo's Cavern and begin doing a few more interesting things instead of dying and talking to people. I guarantee you the run will get more interesting. All right, so of course, Dodongo's Cavern is just off here to the west side of Goron City. And we have to pick up the bomb flower so that we can throw it down. During this cutscene, we can backflip over the fence to get down here. It also prevents us from taking damage because we're in the cutscene. Alright, so now, right at the beginning of Dodongo's Cavern, I'm going to be taking this bomb flower to blow up the entrance here, of course. But before that happens, I'm actually going to backwalk out of the dungeon so that while the wall explodes, I exit and I can skip the cutscene that normally plays there. It's a pretty short cutscene, and the reason it actually saves time is because it resets the platform cycle in the middle of the room. Because if it didn't do that, then it actually wouldn't end up saving any time. Alright, so now we're going to go off to the left here. This is where we're going to buy our Deku Shield from a business scrub. He sells the Deku Shield for 50 rupees, because, as we know, Dodongo's Cavern contains lots of, like, fire sources. So it's very easy to burn the shield here, so hopefully we won't have that happen.
The shield is absolutely essential for the next trick that Jim's going to perform, though.
Yeah. Alright. So, coming over here, there's a switch up on a platform that's normally too high for Child Link to grab. But by doing... Oh, hold on here. Alright, there we go. Correct position. By dropping a bomb here, I'm going to be doing a trick called a twisted backflip. And as I do the twisted backflip, my shield is going to hit this bomb explosion. And this is going to cancel the backflip and allow me to grab the edge up here. If my positioning was correct. Let's try that again.
In OOT, you cannot grab a ledge out of a side hop or a backflip, but you can in MM for some reason. By having the bomb hit the shield, even though you're still shielding even though you're still like going through the backflip animation, it sort of cancels some properties of the backflip, which actually then lets you grab a ledge.
Yeah, so positioning here is a little tight. Okay. The reason I'm pause buffering this is so that I can try to get that. All right, because there's a specific set of inputs that we have to do.
Yeah.
It's probably a good idea to mention pause buffering. In the N64 version, you'll just open the item menu to pause, but because that's a touchscreen button, which takes 2 frames in order to actually register, it's not viable to pause buffer.
Instead, the 3DS has the home menu, which suspends the current game, which is nice because it allows for buffering in some circumstances that wouldn't be possible in N64. But on the downside, N64 can get frame perfect pause or like advances between pauses. You can do it on 3DS, getting 1 frame of game between home buffers. However, that's rather difficult to do, and it's more likely you're going to get somewhere between 1 and 4 frames.
Yeah, unfortunately, not too consistent.
Hey, third try was still pretty good. That trick is super dumb.
Yeah, it still saves time, thankfully. Third try still saves like 10 seconds.
And that trick is called the modern halfie. And when Jim actually got it, it was called the postmodern halfie.
I was
'Cause
gonna say, yeah.
it's a slight variation. But the main trick itself was found June or July 2017 by a N64 tasser named Homer Funky. He originally found it in the N64 version where they use the BMOS, but because they do have strength going in there anyway. They use a BMOS, but 3DS we use the bomb flower. We can use the BMOS, but bomb flower is easier.
I was trying to backflip over that text, but I got hit by the spike. Alright, so I have this stick out so I can jump slash up onto this platform. The reason I chose the stick over the sword is because the animation of putting the stick away is slightly faster than the sword. Now, coming up here, we have the flame skips. Normally you need the slingshot to get past these flames, but with some precise jumping, we can just get around these like this.
Nicely done.
So that's the first one. And then after that, we have the Lizalfos coming up here. So with these Lizalfos, we essentially want to get them into positions so that they can't jump over us. If the Lizalfos detect that there's enough space behind us for them to jump over without going off the platform, then they're going to take the opportunity for that. But as long as we're on, like, the smaller platforms and we're near the edge, they won't do that, and they'll be vulnerable again right away. And this does take 2 cycles. If we had the Master Sword as Child, which is possible to do, then we would be able to do this in a single cycle for both.
If you're familiar with the N64 version, you might have noticed that when they do a room like this, they'll jump slash with a stick and then just crouch stab. That's because of a glitch called, or not a glitch, a trick called power crouch stab, where on the N64 version, crouch stab does the damage of the last sword attack you did. That was patched in this version, so crouch stab will always do default damage. So the most damage you can do is a stick jump slash. But that breaks sticks, or you can do broken stick to save your stick, but that takes time to set up.
Power crouch out. Definitely not a glitch. Definitely allowed in glitchless.
Yeah, so this is the trickier fire skip right here, because it's 2 platforms, but thankfully we can use the alcove on the left side like that, and then we can get around it like this.
Very nice.
Nice.
And we got the swag jump slash, alright.
Even better.
Alright, yeah, so now we finally have the means to break the game somewhat.
In case he got hit by the flames, he would have lost his shield, but there is another spare shield not too far from where Jim is right now.
Yeah, he needs it for a trick in the next dungeon, and that is the last use of the shield, I think.
Thankfully I waited there. That would have been bad if I side hopped down. Alright, yeah, so we're going to light the eyes here to open up the Dodongo mouth, and now we're actually going to leave Dodongo's cavern, because it's going to be faster to come back later, actually.
King Dodongo is a scary boss.
Oh yeah, he's real scary. Alright, so now I'm going to attempt to do another variation of the extended super slide trick, except this time I'm going to use explosives to try to do it. Okay. Unfortunately didn't get it. It's a little more difficult, excuse me, to do it with explosives in what's known as a HES, or a hyper-extended super slide.
Yeah, so when he first came in here and he did the fess off the Tektite, that was roughly 2/3 faster than backwalking. A HES is exactly twice as fast as backwalking, and you have the same maneuverability, so in all cases it's desirable to do a HES over a fess, unless you need to preserve explosives or something.
Yeah, I normally would do a HES here, but the explosive count as Child Link is kind of tight, so I'm just going to backwalk my way through here.
Especially with that bomb hitbox just not exploding that boulder for whatever reason.
The boulder's hitbox is very picky. Also, why did I think I was already back there?
And the boulders spawn in areas that are on camera, so by backwalking, the boulders don't spawn behind you. They only spawn in front of you, and you're not going in front of you, so you don't really get hit. And one thing Jim just did with that Walchla is he aggroed it to have it go a little bit, and then while it was going back to its original position, he could move, because until it returns to its home, it can't actually attack again. Or a lunge or whatever.
Yeah, the wall sculptulas they're a lot more aggressive in 3D compared to the original. So, but thankfully it's actually easy to get them to like go at you for only a really short amount of time before they turn back by just doing a single slow motion in a direction. All right, so now we're coming up here to get magic. We need magic if we want to get any of the other fairy spells, because we are going to be getting Furore's Wind and Din's Fire for this run, both of which are very helpful. So while we go through this cutscene, we have another chance for donation reading.
All right, here is $5 from Carly, who says, first row shout out. Hi to Ryan and Ben at their first live GDQ. Super excited for both of you. And so jelly you get to watch a gymnast run Ocarina live. Excuse me, Ocarina. And here's $1,000 from the Yeti. Hey all, Yeti here. We're so excited to be helping out with the very first GDQ Express. Thanks to your speedy purchases, we're happy to be able to donate the first $1,000 to the TwitchCon Charity Plaza. That plaza is packed with amazing partners, and we're so happy to be able to support them all.
Alright, so we just did a save warp out of the fairy fountain. Basically, we just saved the game and then quit it and reopen it. And the reason that's useful is because it can cut down on backtracking. And actually a lot of different Zelda games. That's not just Ocarina of Time /3D. That's a whole, like a lot of the Zelda series benefits from the save warp technique. And when you're Child Link on the overworld and you do a save warp, you get put back in Link's house, which is a little bit closer to where we want to go next, which is Zora's Domain. So as I mentioned earlier, we can actually escape the forest with a Navi dive, so we're going to do that to get to Zora's Domain, or well, specifically Zora's River, and then we can go to Zora's Domain. Oh wow, we got the bomb drop, nice.
Nice.
And he has to wait for Navi anyway, so he can take this time to try and get bomb drops to refill on bombs. It doesn't waste any time. And since he didn't collect magic, there's a really good audio cue when the music hits. I don't know the music trend. I think like whatever these peaks are right now, Navi will be ready.
Yeah, there we go. And then we can just swim to the hole. And then there's a little optimization right here. We can sort of clip up onto the edge right here and do a jump slash to avoid the climbing animation. So the reason that we're coming here to Zora's Domain is ultimately so that we can beat Jabu-Jabu's belly and get Furore's Wind. And so Jabu-Jabu is going to be the actual first dungeon that we complete as Child Link.
And the only, right?
What? Oh yeah, that's right, huh? We're only beating one dungeon as Child Link?
Crazy.
Alright, so Zora's Domain has some useful stuff. In these pots over here, we're going to be grabbing a set of 5 Deku Nuts. And I'm also going to be grabbing a stick, just for safety. Alright, so the Deku Nuts will help us just generally stun some enemies that we'll be encountering later. Okay, King Zora, in case anyone didn't know. But thankfully, some people might not know, so we're going to do a triple slash clip to get to the out-of-bounds water here and go under him so that we don't have to collect Ruto's letter or get the silver scale or any of that stuff. We're actually not going to collect a bottle throughout the entirety of this run. Like, bottles are still a very broken item, but they're not broken in a way that really helps the speedrun of this category. And so you're probably wondering how we're going to get into Jabu-Jabu without a bottle. And the answer to that is a Deku Stick Jump Slash. Just like that.
How jump slashers work a little bit differently on 3D. They actually, you still arc the stick over your head and then bring it forward. But on 3D, the hurt box of the either stick or sword actually starts while it's still behind you. So he's actually recoiling off of Jabu. And even though he's recoiling it behind him, because he's facing away from Jabu, behind him is towards Jabu, so he gets pushed towards Jabu.
Yeah, so Jabu, unfortunately not the most interesting dungeon. It's pretty vanilla. Because we have to carry Ruto around the basement and then take her back up to the first floor so that we can use her to get into the room with the boomerang.
It's been people have been wanting for a long time to figure out a way to actually skip carrying Ruto around, because you only need Ruto for exactly one switch in this dungeon. And if you could somehow bypass that switch, you could skip Ruto completely and just get the boomerang and go straight to Baronade. However, on 3D, we actually found a way to completely skip Rudo, but it requires two really dumb tricks that were found. Yeah, it just requires the same two really dumb tricks we talked about earlier.
Yeah, so sort of the main goal here is that I want to avoid hitting any of the bubbles or shabombs, as they're actually called in-game. Because every time that I hit those, I end up getting knocked back, and then I have to pick up Rudo again. Ooh, there's like 3 of them guarding the door. Test if I can get past. Ooh, okay,
Whoa.
we did it.
Nice.
Yeah, clap for that.
Pointless mega flip.
That wasn't a mega flip.
Oh, never mind.
That's a mega flip.
There we go.
All right.
We're just waiting for the platform, but the
Yeah.
Octorok decides to play a little game with us.
All right. Now we slowly ride the elevator in silence. Is Rudo going to make any weird noises? No. Okay. Sometimes Rudo likes to make weird noises.
It's a cursed run now.
All right, so when we're also holding Rudo above our head, the fastest movement is back walking, so we do that where it's applicable, because obviously we can't roll or side hop while we're carrying her. And this is the switch we need her for.
Yeah, this switch will only activate if you have Rudo. If you're holding anything else, it will not activate. Or if you're not holding anything. Or if you hit it with a hammer, or if you do anything you can to switches.
Yeah, so Navi's like, wait, we left Rudo behind, but we're like, all right, well, whatever.
Obligatory mention of how they took away one of the enemies in this room for
Yeah.
no apparent reason.
Yeah. Yeah, there were, in the original game, there were 4 stingrays, but in 3D, there's only 3, so...
Thanks, Grezzo.
Another one of the few good changes.
All right, so now we got the boomerang. Sole purpose of the boomerang is pretty much to get to Baronade's room and defeat Baronade. So let's go do that. Normally, you would need to fight the Big Octo mini-boss to gain access to Baronade, but thankfully we have other ways around that. So you remember with the Octorok, we did that weird flip where we flew back really fast? We're going to do that again, except this time we're going to use a bomb. So with this bomb, we can take it over here and perform Mega Flip. Oh, okay. Unfortunately, my timing there was a little early, but that's okay. The elevator riding back up is really slow, so I'm going to do a save warp instead to get back to the beginning of the dungeon. So we can read like a donation now, or 2.
All right. We received a $25 donation from Andrew, who said, a mini games done quick, Ocarina playing? Better donate. And also $10 here for the TwitchCon Charity Plaza from Jamama, saying, I don't know this reference, but try not to mess up first cycle. It could lose you several hours. Love you, Jim, Nerds, Mega, and Za. Sorry, I'm not there.
Hey, Jamama.
I hate you, Jamama. That really long backflip Jim just did, that's the mega flip. It goes... you have the same vertical speed you would a normal backflip, but your lateral speed, how quickly you're going backwards, is 3 times faster, so you can go roughly 3 times farther.
Yeah, and then right after that, I did a trick where I pulled out not Rudo's letter, Zelda's letter, on the exact same frame that I touched down on the blue switch, and that sort of, it delayed the blue switch actually going down and coming back up, so I was able to get to the door in time before it closed.
Mixing up your waifu's letters, Jim.
Don't judge me and my waifus. All right. So now it's time for the first boss of the run, Baronade. Baronade fight's pretty simple. First phase, we're just going to cut down the 3 colored tentacles that attach Baronade to the ceiling. Pretty easy with the boomerang. Now, when we attack Baronade again, we're going to use Deku Nuts to get rid of all of the Beeries that are around her. Just like that. And so now we're suddenly in the final phase of the fight, where it's just going to take, I believe it's 10 damage that she needs to take before she's dead. She is invincible for a little bit after she comes up, so I have to delay throwing the boomerang just a bit to make sure that it doesn't get to her too early.
The reason Jim's rolling into Baronade is Baronade will only start the next phase, or next part of that phase, after you have taken damage. Or it's not after you start, but that's one way of speeding up, otherwise there's a long attack sequence she can do. And rolling with roll invincibility counts as a hit, so she pops up faster without taking damage.
Yeah, all right. So All right, cool. So this is the first spiritual stone of the run. So we still have 6 medallions and 2 spiritual stones to go. Also, we didn't get the heart container from Baronade because we don't want it. We do want to die a few more times in this run because death is useful in Ocarina of Time 3D.
Are you sure death is useful, or are you just bad?
I think it might be a bit of both, unfortunately. Ooh,
Oh,
we did it. We got the
Fast
fast Rudo
Rudo.
cutscene.
So if you get quick text during this cutscene, Rudo can start swimming backwards earlier, and it speeds up the cutscene. And we have actually emailed Grezzo to try and ask why that happens, and got no response.
Why haven't they responded to us? We
Grez-
just want to know.
Grezzo,
Grezzo,
if
if
you're
you're-
watching this.
Please respond to that email.
Yeah, so when Rudo like begins the next part of the cutscene quicker, that saves like what 4 or 5 seconds or something. Yeah, it's cool that we saw that. That doesn't happen very often. All right, so now we're conveniently near the entrance to the Ferori's Wind Fairy Fountain, so we're going to go get Ferori's Wind right now.
Yeah. So I forgot to mention this earlier, or we forgot to. One of the really dumb tricks was getting into the Magic Fairy Fountain. The other is getting into here, and it requires getting on top of the entrance you just went through and then clipping in. It's a really dumb trick.
Yeah, the one cool thing about the trick for getting into the Ferori's Wind Fountain without explosives is that we actually like captured the reaction of a general group of OOT 3D speedrunners and glitch hunters live as it happened, which was really cool. All right, so we probably have time for 1 or 2 more donations here.
All right, here's a couple you'll probably want to hear. I've got $14.98 from Aaron Toad 99. Says, hey Jim, good luck on the rest of the run. It's going pretty well so far. Also love seeing nerds representing Canada on the couch.
Aaron, I'm not Canadian.
Yes, you are.
Pretty sure I've been to your house. I'm pretty sure it's in Canada.
And here's a $10 donation that we received from Casey. Thank you. They said, so glad I got off work in time to see Gymnast run. You guys are killing it. Shout out from the Zahir community, and keep up the great work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Casey.
Okay, so now we're back in Link's house. So we got the one spiritual stone we're going to get as Child Link. So you're probably wondering, well, how are we going to get past the Door of Time without the spiritual stones? And don't worry, we'll show you.
It's going to be Jim being bad again.
Yes. But first we have to do this trick known as ledge cancel so that we can escape the forest again. So what I did there was, as I climbed up the ledge, I shielded a bomb explosion, which sort of kept me in the state of what I was when I was climbing up the ledge. And when you're in that state, you can just walk through actors, so we just walked right through the guard.
Specifically, actors with a certain collision type.
I think it's kind of important to note here, too, that pretty much everything besides Jabu-Jabu that Jim has done in the run is part of the any % run for this game. But now things are really going to start to go off the rails.
Old any percent, and
No one's run new any %, so
people have done runs, they just haven't finished.
no one's completed runs.
Hey, the first 30 minutes is pretty much any percent.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we collected some more rupees on our way to the market over here because we're actually going to be buying the Hylian shield also very soon. And now we're going to introduce you guys to what really breaks this game, which is the restricted items glitch, which is going to allow me to cast Ferori's Wind here in the market. So normally you can only use Ferori's Wind when you're in dungeons. But thanks to the restricted items glitch, if you have an item you can use and an item you can't use, if you put those items on the X and Y buttons and then swap them, once you regain control after the pause menu, the item that was unusable will be usable for a single frame, and vice versa, the item that was usable will be unusable for a single frame.
Yeah.
So we're going to be exploiting that a lot in this run.
The restricted items glitch is rather interesting because it's apparent in this version or in this game because you just saw Jim do it. But in the Korean release of this game, which is a sort of 1.1, they patched that, and then there might be some other changes. I haven't really played it that much, but that restricted items glitch is gone. But then in Majora's Mask 3D, it's back in a slightly different form, which is rather interesting because Grezzo patched away a glitch and then reintroduced it.
Alright, so unfortunately we fell there. Link doesn't like to jump right there. It's okay, though. I think I'll still be able to make it before night to the Din's Fire Fairy Fountain. Alright, yeah, we should be okay. As long as we don't hear the wolf howling lure good.
Good thing you got that house earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, because we can't let it be nighttime right now, time is a little tight, but thanks to the Hess, I was able to still perform that mistake and have it not be dead bad. The reason we don't want it to be nighttime is because right after we get Din's Fire, I'm going to use restricted items again to return to the market, just as like a way to save backtracking. And then I'm going to be going back out to Hyrule Field. But if it's nighttime, you know, the bridge that goes over the moat is closed, so you can't go out to Hyrule Field from the market during the night. Alright, that was our last fairy fountain of the run. So now we do restricted items again. And right after we return Ferori's Wind, we're actually going to cast it again. So let's do that. Alright. So yeah, every time that I do restricted items, it is a frame-perfect trick. But thankfully, the queue for it is pretty good because it's based off of your own movement. It's not like you have to look for something in the game to do the input off of.
For those watching at home, try not to miss this upcoming part. He's about to set up for Death Hole Wrong Warping. This is probably one of the best parts of the speedruns for 3DS.
And probably one of the most confusing
If-
to those who may have not seen it before.
If you blink, we will be an adult. So just don't blink.
Alright. So we're going to come over here and we're going to blow up this rock. And then right after this, I'm going to set down another bomb in front of this grotto, and I'm actually going to die into the bomb and fall into the grotto at the same time.
Jim, stop being bad.
I'm sorry, I know. So I quit the game, but I didn't quit the game apparently. So now we're in the Lakeside Laboratory, because that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot going on, so we'll explain Death Hole Wrong Warping in a cutscene that's about to happen.
Alright, so we're alive again. That's cool. I'm going to return Ferori's Wind so that we can get back to the market. And even though it's nighttime, there's still people here. Normally that's not supposed to happen, so you can already tell that stuff is a little weird. We're going to set Ferori's Wind again, and now we're going to go back out to Hyrule Field. Except this isn't Hyrule Field, it's now the Shadow Temple. So since we're here in the Shadow Temple, let's go get hover boots, yeah?
That's
And
pretty
mega
useful.
flip over this gap. Yeah, hover boots are nice. Alright, so right now you'll notice that the bottom screen isn't really displaying any information like it normally should be. That's because the game sort of believes that we're on the title screen right now, even though we're playing in our file. And it just so happens that whenever you're on the title screen and you go through a loading zone when you're playing, the game will essentially wrong warp you, depending on where you go, by adding a specific constant to your entrance index. And so now we fight the Dead Hand. Ooh, we got grabbed. That's okay, though, because we already did the damage to the Dead Hand. Had to go with me.
An interesting thing about Dead Hand is there's a Dead Hand in Bottom of the Well and then the Dead Hand here in Shadow Temple. And which Dead Hand you fight doesn't matter. The health is based on what age you are, not where you're fighting Dead Hand.
Yeah, so even if we had, like, the Master Sword as Child Link, we'd still have to do this fight in 3 cycles. All right. So now the Hover Boots chest appears. Alright, so after we get the Hover Boots, we're going to return to the market, where more interesting things will happen.
This is a dungeon, so he can normally cast Pharaoh's Wind here, but you notice that he cast it in the market and also in the Lakeside Lab without having to do restricted items. It's because when he's in this state, there are no restricted items.
Who likes archery?
Oh, I do.
Oh, wait, this isn't archery.
Oh, well, you know.
Let's go to the Temple of Time. Wonder where this will take us.
To the Temple of Time.
Oh wow,
that's
hey,
normal.
yeah, that's good. Are we
Yeah.
still? Are we still in Death Hole Wrong Warp
Are you
mode?
sure you did that right?
I don't know. Where's Link? Oh, hey, there he is. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So to explain what happened, the certain cuts or so certain this game has a lot of cutscenes, and the way the original N64 developers decided to implement cutscenes was they would tie the cutscenes to specific entrances. So, like for example, the Nocturne cutscene is tied to Kakariko from entering Hyrule Field, because each entrance into a map is different. But they also designated a specific cutscene number for each one. So, for example, using the Nocturne cutscene again, that would be the first part is cutscene 0 on the Kakariko map. So the way they implemented activating the cutscene is they send you to an entrance and then they add a potential cutscene offset. Now, the title screen cutscene of Link riding on the horse through Hyrule Field, that's cutscene 0 on Hyrule Field. So we get the cutscene offset from the title screen, which is always trying to play. And then going through various loading zones, we're applying that cutscene offset to loading zones that were never meant to have that cutscene offset applied to them. So we just try and load cutscenes on various maps, and that ends up happening. And through that, we just load the wrong loading zone. If you've watched N64 with their wrong warps, it's the exact same concept. It's just instead of using a blue warp for the cutscene offset, we're using the title screen.
Yeah, and so thankfully there just so happens to be a way for us to get behind the door of time using Death Hole Wrong Warping. And what's also convenient is that the cutscene that plays in the Temple of Time will actually cancel Death Hole Wrong Warping. And if that didn't happen, we actually wouldn't be able to grab the Master Sword.
Yeah. Well, not only that, Temple Time would just be all black, because we're in a cutscene. That's why we have the unrestricted items. We don't have to open the menu to swap the items. We just inherently have them. All items retain their usability in a cutscene. But that also means that if we were to dim our buttons in any way, under certain once we have access, once we can, okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. If we dim the buttons under certain circumstances, we lose access because they retain their lost usability. But and we also can't interact with certain actors. However, that entrance cutscene does take us out of Death Hole, which is rather nice. But that means that door time skip only works if we have that entrance cutscene, which means it's a one-off.
Yeah, it's essentially like a one-way ticket.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, like recently over this summer, we've actually found other methods to do Door of Time skip if we have certain other items.
Shoutouts to Seedborn, one of the like underappreciated glitch hunters for the Zelda 64 games.
Yeah, so this cutscene's really long. We probably have time for one or two more donations right now.
Wonderful. Here is Herman the Vermin donating $10, saying, "Hi all, longtime viewer, and I just had to donate during such an amazing game. Thanks for all you guys are doing at GDQ, and keep it up. Happy gaming." And one more here from Sarah, who donated $100, simply saying, "I'm a huge fan and subscriber to Gymnast. Good luck."
Thank you. All right, so now that have the Master Sword and have gone through these cutscenes, we should be done. But there's actually one more cutscene that we have to watch, which is the cutscene where Link, normally when you're Child Link and you come up to the Master Sword, you see this, where Navi's like, "Oh man, it's the Master Sword."
This truly is the Master Sword.
It's the legendary blade.
Yeah, the legendary blades.
It's that legendary blade.
The Master Legs.
Master Sword. Yeah, so it's funny that we still get to see that cutscene. So now we're going to do another save warp. Save warping on the overworld as Adult Link will place you in the Temple of Time. Thankfully, it places you in front of the Door of Time, so we can easily get back around to the Door of Time.
If he needed to go child, he could have set FW there, but now that he has now that he is on the other side of the Door of Time without FW set there, the only way for him to go child would be to, after beating Forest Temple, would be to do a long, convoluted series of glitches to either obtain the Song of Time and open it, or get around it, and both suck. Well, yeah, suck.
So we're not going back, is basically what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, the rest of this run will be done as Adult Link. Adult Link is generally more powerful than Child Link is, though, so
Better
works
sword,
out.
taller.
Yeah. Just in general, if you can do an area as either child or adult, it's usually faster to do it as adult. The general rule of thumb. There are some exceptions, of course.
Totally normal, non-pointy nose. Thanks, Grezzo.
An earring that he didn't have when he went in as a child.
Who pierced his ear?
All right, so we're back in Kakariko, and we're going to be making our way back to Dodongo's Cavern now, so we can finish it as an adult. So this is going to Death Mountain Trail. Before we do that, though, we're going to turn around and go right back into Kakariko Village. And we're going to use restricted items here again to set Ferori's Wind. Restricted items also works if there's nothing on the button beforehand when you put Ferori's Wind onto it. And we want to set Ferori's Wind specifically at this entrance, because we're going to be doing some more wrong warping now.
There are other entrances that work. All that ends up mattering is that when we get the cutscene offset, that entrance plus that cutscene offset would lead to Kakariko. So, like, for example, Kakariko from Hyrule Field would work, from the graveyard would work, but leaving some of the houses would not work.
And so as adults, thankfully, the platform cycle doesn't really matter because we can grab up much higher than Child Link can. The rest of Dodongo's Cavern is also extremely easy as adults. Because normally Child Link would have to go around to the right side here. But as Adult Link, you can just kind of grab up here and be on your way. I'm going to get a bomb drop back here. Technically don't need it because I did get the bomb drop earlier, but just for safety, of course. Unfortunately, we still have to push this block, which is a little slow. There is an alternative route that saves a few seconds, but it involves doing a really hard, kind of stupid trick to skip pushing this block. So it just wouldn't be safe to do in the marathon, unfortunately.
But it's a trick we get to see later, and it's a cool trick, so...
The trick itself isn't hard, it's just the specific he has to do it in a very precise way that makes it difficult.
Yeah, the instance of the trick in this context is not very easy. All right, so time for King Dodongo.
Now that we're an adult, he's a lot less scary.
The game still is going to try to play him up, though, as this giant beast. And he is pretty big, but he's not very bright, so... should be easy defeating him. Instead of talking about King Dodongo because he's boring, nerds, do you want to talk about blue warps?
I think we're a little early on that.
No, you can talk about it.
Probably should start now.
We'll have a
actually.
huge cutscene. Okay, so I guess I'll start talking about it then. The Dodongo's Blue Warp, the Deku Blue Warp, the Jabu Blue Warp, and the Fire Temple Blue Warp are special in that they don't send you directly to the Chamber of Sages. They play a cutscene that is the wrong warpable type of cutscene. Because some cutscenes, like entrance cutscenes, like the one we used to get past the door of time, doesn't work for a wrong warp. But those type of cutscenes are, specifically in this case, Dodongo's Cavern is a cutscene 1 wrong, or it's a cutscene, tries to play cutscene 1 on Kakariko, which means wherever we use it for wrong warping, we go to cutscene 1.
It's not Kakariko, but the Road to Death Mountain, right?
No, FW is set in Kakariko from the road to
Yeah, I'm saying with the one.
So what we're doing right here is Jim is lining up with the blue warp. He is inching very close, and he's going to side hop away, move a little bit over so he will land on the edge of the warp, and he's going to try and do restricted items onto the edge of the warp. He got it, luckily. Wow. So this is going to try and play cutscene 1 from wherever FW is set, plus the cutscene offset. In that case, it ends up being cutscene 1 of Kakariko, which is the second half of the Nocturne cutscene. What makes that difficult is we have to do the restricted item with Ferori's Wind, which he was doing it earlier fine unbuffered, but just in this case, if he fails it, he has to re-enter the boss room, and that just takes a while. So it is worth it in where there's a large penalty for failing to try and buffer it, and make sure he gets it. And then he just has to close FW on the right frame so that he gets the FW entrance plus the cutscene offset from the blue warp.
Oh yeah, thankfully returning Ferori's Wind it's not that precise. Like, you have I don't know what it is, but it's enough time that you can
Yeah.
do it easily every time.
And it's just a slight notice that the timing is slightly different between child blue warps and adult blue warps because they have different warp out animations, so the cues are slightly shifted. But yeah, so with these wrong warps, we can go around and enter any cutscenes. If you're familiar with the N64 version, like any percent using the Goma blue warp to go to Collapse or Hundo or N64 MST or any of those using the Fire Temple for a wrong warp. One difference that was actually so the wrong warps like that are actually glitches or extra layer of glitches on N64 because of I don't want to go too in depth on this.
Just
So,
quit while you're ahead, I think.
Yeah,
just look up the term "use after free."
Yeah, essentially, there's the wrong warps in this game using blue warps. You can only wrong warp into cutscenes. If you try to wrong warp into not a cutscene, you end up crashing.
Yeah, because after a cutscene's done, the game does some cleanup on data needed for the cutscene that it doesn't do the complete cleanup on N64. So why some of those cutscenes works are a mixture of use after free and dangling pointers. If you're familiar with those terms or want to look them up,
If we have any computer scientists in the crowd or at home.
yeah.
But anyway, back to the route. So right now we're racing Dampe because we want to get the hookshot. Hookshot's a very useful item used for lots of stuff.
And
So thankfully, Dampe in 3D is actually slightly faster than Dampe in N64, just because the roll speed is increased a little bit and doesn't slow down as much. As long as you know, avoid the flames and don't bonk everywhere.
yeah, on N64, I think the lowest RTA time is a 46. I don't think anyone's gotten a 45, with Tasses easily getting 42s. Is it 42s or 43s? I forget. Anyways, it is possible to get low 40s on 3D if you don't bonk or don't hit fire. And in both games, it is possible to get 0 seconds. On N64, it's actually slower in real time to get 0 on the timer, but on 3D, you can get 0 on the timer rather easily without wasting any real time.
Yeah, so the reason that we cast Ferori's Wind at the specific entrance that we did is because now we can actually use it to go back there, because the wrong warp didn't actually use up the Ferori's Wind spot, so it's still there. And because we want to go to Fire Temple next, this is a nice shortcut to get back through Kakariko Village.
Yeah, it's not the actual using the Pharaoh's Wind that removes the warp point, it's it disappearing when you warp in, but because we used FW in the wrong warp, we went into the cutscene and not the Pharaoh's warp in animation.
Yeah, and so right there at the beginning of this area, I took damage from a Tektite because I want to be at a certain amount of health, because I'm going to be doing another trick that involves death in just a moment here. As soon as we get up Death Mountain Trail. We could do a Hest here, but it's kind of inconvenient with the boulders rolling everywhere. It's very easy to get hit, and it doesn't save very much time, so yeah. Alright, so now we're going to use a bomb to stop this Goron from rolling, so that we can talk to him and he can give us the Goron's tunic. This is another one of those cutscenes that takes a super long time on the original game, but because of quick text, it's very fast here. Alright, excellent.
Very well done.
Alright, so I still need to take a little more damage. I'm going to take half a heart here by climbing up onto this railing and then doing a side hop down before going into Darunia's room. And then after that, I'm going to use a bomb to damage myself while I'm pulling this statue, so that the pulling animation gets canceled, but the statue still moves, so it can save a few seconds like that. I also equipped the Goron tunic so that I don't immediately die once I get in here to Death Mountain Crater.
In case you don't know, the timer, if you're not wearing the Goron tunic in here, is based off of your current health, so a quarter of a heart is a very short amount of time.
Yeah. Anyway, so now we're going to be using Death to skip the Bolero of Fire cutscene. It's very simple, just shield an explosion at a certain distance into the cutscene trigger, and we've skipped the cutscene.
If you're from this trick also works on N64, but on N64 you get the Bolero cutscene camera when you die. For whatever reason, you don't get that on on 3DS.
Yeah, so rearrange our items. Obviously, a very nice change from the original game is that the hover boots and iron boots are now items that you can equip to buttons, so you don't have to go into the pause menu each and every time you want to equip or unequip iron boots or hover boots. So,
And there's also this lovely little hop animation Link does whenever he puts them on, which we love that animation, but we also don't want to see it very often.
yeah, so while I'm rolling here through Fire Temple, right before I do a roll, I can actually equip the hover boots without losing any time. So like right here, for instance, after this cutscene though, I can press the hover boots button and then immediately do a roll to skip the little hopping animation.
N64 has a way of skipping this cutscene. That method would probably work on 3D, but the amount of time it takes to set up, it's probably faster just to quick text through it.
We've made a lot of jokes about changes they've made and which one's the best, but unironically, the boots change to an item is the best change the guys have made to this game.
Yeah.
In many ways.
So if anyone's familiar, so for those who are familiar with Fire Temple, we will be going through most of it up until we get the Megaton Hammer, which means that we'll have to free a good amount of Gorons. We won't be freeing all of them though.
Yeah, not all 9 Gorons, or all 13 Gorons.
13 Gorons.
And if you think there are only 9, you need to recount.
All right, so. Oh, interesting camera. Don't target that. Okay. Navi was really excited about that Song of Time block. All right, so after I get this key, I'm going to attempt to do a trick known as Din's Fire Actor Glitch, which does some really weird stuff. Unfortunately, because of my health, I can only really try it once, so if I don't get it, it's not that big a deal. We'll just go and get the other key. But if I do get this, it'll skip us having to go get the other key.
And this will be used one other time in the run. Hopefully.
Ah, okay.
Uh,
But yeah, so right there, there was a specific frame that I wanted to open the door relative to the bomb explosion. Unfortunately, I didn't get it, so we have to go get the other key.
yeah. It does some wacky stuff, so we'll explain it when he does it again. Or when he goes for it again.
Yeah, you might have noticed that I also tried to home buffer it. That was to see where I was compared to the bomb explosion. Unfortunately, the camera angle that I had didn't allow me to see that. If I did see it, I probably would have tried to buffer a little more, but it was unfortunate. Anyway, now we have the other key, so that's what we would have skipped if we got the Din's Fire Actor trick right here. Alright, on to this next room where nothing very interesting happens. If we want to read a donation, we can do that.
Sure, donations are always interesting, right?
Of course.
Here's Whole Pigeon chiming in with $5. Says, "Hi Jim, good luck on the run. Instead of bribing the guards, this goes to having the couch hug Jim, and I'll donate another $10 if that happens."
Alright, Couch, come up here. Alright, I need to press A.
I figured that might be an okay time for that. We have seen multiple comments wanting hugs, so thought I'd make it happen.
Alright, so this room, we do have some interesting stuff happening. I'm going to push this block once, and then I'm going to do a trick jump right here so that I can actually jump off of this ledge, but then come back on so that I can grab onto the top of the block and skip having to push it. And then right here, we're going to introduce you guys to a trick called a ledge clip, where I'm going to attempt to grab the ledge and then also target the wall at the same time, just like that. So now I sort of went down into the wall, and I'm out of bounds, so this bomb explosion hit me into the hallway right here.
There was a way of doing that skip before ledge clipping was found, 2015 or 2014, I forget exactly when it was found. Let's just say that that old method sucked. And
Yeah.
It involved timing 3 different things that all have very short timers.
Yeah, shoutouts to Skater for figuring out ledge clipping. Saved us a lot of heartache with the Boulder Maze skip, which is what that trick is formerly known as.
Also, anti-shoutouts to Fox for finding the old method, but then shoutouts for Fox for finding a lot of other really cool stuff in this game.
Yeah, shout out to Fox.
Was that a bomb drop, or was that a nut drop?
I thought it was a nut.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes I get fooled into thinking that there was a bomb drop there. Alright, so We're going to cast Furore's Wind in this room. Thankfully, because this is a dungeon, we don't have to use restricted items. We can just press the button.
And remember that Pharaoh's Wind was placed in this hallway. That very orange hallway.
Let's see if we can do the Hess here. Oh,
Oh, the boulder.
Boulder said no.
Boulder.
The boulder says no.
You were about to impress some people, but
Yeah. Okay, I have to be careful here because my health is a little low. Oop, okay. Let's not die.
Very careful.
That would actually be bad in this situation, so we're going to avoid
I
that.
mean, you have FW set, so you can always return.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
You just need to get a magic drop somewhere, I think.
Yeah. Thankfully, there's hearts right here, though, so we'll be okay.
So he just threw a bomb in there for no reason except for a fake door that he wants to get past to the real door. You can actually try and open that fake door on one of the frames that it's exploding, and it looks really weird because Link is trying to just open air.
Yeah, I accidentally did that in one of my recent runs, actually, and I was really confused because I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Didn't you see a clip of Zahir doing that too? Or am I imagining that?
Didn't you do that a couple weeks ago?
maybe.
Yeah. Anyways, this
Hard
is,
to keep it straight when you run 3 games.
yeah, this is Flare Dancer. You have to get him out of the colored scarecrow thing and then hit its little head. Hookshot's the easiest way. Megaton Hammer would also work if we had it. I think you can also throw a bomb at him.
Alright, so we're almost to the Megaton Hammer. Just got this one more room. I dropped the bomb there so that while the crystal cutscene is happening, Link can climb up the rest of the wall. Alright. Now we get to the Megaton Hammer room. Here we have to go across these very thin stairs, which we're not going to roll across because rolling across always ends up in bad things happening. So we're just going to walk. Because obviously if you fall down here, that's a pretty big time waste.
I mean, you could try and Hetz across them.
You want to do that? I didn't think so.
I didn't say I would do it.
Oh, okay, good. My damage invincibility canceled that. Okay, so now we're going to do another ledge clip here. This is going to be for the Fire Temple boss key skip. Alright, so we clipped into the wall. We're going to hold L and down, and we'll go over the loading zone for the boss room and be able to spawn into the Volvagia fight.
Yeah, these vertical dungeons, if you can get out of bounds, it can be kind of easy to get into the boss room loading zone.
And a thing that's kind of important to note, loading zones and just in general collision are loaded on a per map basis, not on a per room basis. So that loading zone was there the entire time. Every unloaded room, its collision is still there. So you can walk around and do whatever you want in there. But only the visuals and the actors are ever loaded for one room at a time, except for in a couple of circumstances.
Alright, it's time to fight the Spicy Noodle Dragon, Volvagia.
Also, look at Volvagia's arm during this cutscene.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the arms. They're just... they're doing something. I don't know what it is, though.
Noodly arms.
Yeah. Anyway, so Stratful Volvagia is interesting. We're actually going to use bombs to kill Volvagia a little bit, because there's actually 2 Volvagias that are present in this fight. There's the one that flies around the room, and then there's the one that, plays whack-a-mole with you on the occasions that he comes up.
One with functional arms and one with wacky wavy inflatable arms.
Yeah, it's so the bombs are hitting the flying Volvagia, and it's just whatever last hole the flying Volvagia entered. It's not that precise in 3D, but on N64 you have to place the bombs in somewhat precise positions on the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, during this cutscene, look at Volvagia's arms.
Also, interesting fact, Volvagia's flight path that she takes like around the room is actually programmed as like a set of R-wings from Star Fox 64, if you guys are familiar with that. That's actually how the programming for Volvagia works when she flies around. It's just like this giant string of R-wings. Anyway.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with the N64 version, you can wrong warp with this. It's just the cutscene of this Kakariko cutscene of Death Mountain exploding It's just not useful for any cuts or any wrong warps in this run. And you might think just do a wrong warp to skip the cutscene. There's no good option. It's just watch it.
Yeah, there's no real like, with the way the route works out, being able to like do a wrong warp and skip this cutscene just doesn't really end up saving any time anywhere.
Yeah. Instead, Rauru gives us the pizza medallion.
Roru.
Not
Wait.
Darunia.
In Darunia?
Oh yeah, Darunia, right?
When was the last time you played this game?
Have you beaten this game?
Again, this is the man who took 2 hours to get through first cycle. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Taking that out of context.
And so, yeah, some people like to call this the pepperoni pizza medallion. Because I guess it looks kind of like a small pepperoni pizza.
I mean, we were just in an oven.
A personal pepperoni pizza. With one big pepperoni in the middle.
Alright, cutscene's almost over. So our health is pretty low right now. That's actually intentional. It's a little lower than I wanted, but this still works out fine. So we're actually going to do another Death Hole Wrong Warp right now, using the grotto that's over here. Instead of using bombs to make Link's health go to 0, though, I'm actually going to... hello. Okay. I'm actually going to use the heat timer here. Alright. So we jump slashed into the hole right as the heat timer expired and Link died, so now we're going to die again while we're sort of pseudo on the title screen.
Yeah. If you notice when Jim did the jump slash, he kind of just went through the floor. The death hole glitch itself works on N64, and you can use it to just go through floors. But the using death hole with the title screen for wrong warp is 3D only.
Alright, so right there I used Ferori's Wind to damage buffer myself with a bomb, because I actually want to die again right here.
And we returned back to that hallway, but that hallway isn't orange anymore. Also,
Yeah.
that didn't sound like Fire Temple music.
No, that was Forest Temple music, because we're actually in Forest Temple.
Yeah, so the entrance for that Pharaoh's Wind would be the entrance to Fire Temple. That plus the title screen offset brings us to Forest Temple.
Yeah, and we got the coordinates of the Ferori's Wind Warp, which is why we fell for a really long time before we ended up dying.
And that actually works out really well because we're so high, you fall and die. That's why he damage buffered. And dying, saving from the death, he can save and quit, and that puts us on the actual title screen, but saved in Forest Temple. So just return the file.
Yeah, because we end up saving and quitting because we want to get out of Death Hole Wrong Warp mode. If we stayed in Death Hole Wrong Warp mode for Forest Temple, when we eventually would go to try to fight Phantom Ganon, we would actually end up in the Water Temple, which is not where we want to be yet, so that obviously wouldn't be good.
This cutscene is skippable. You need a bottle for it. We don't have a bottle, so we watch it. And it only saves a handful of seconds to skip it. It's more useful in Hundo because you can use the elevator to ride down, but we're ignoring the elevator.
Alright, so I'm sure a lot of you know that there's a key that you normally have to get in the first room of Forest Temple, which obviously we didn't get. That's because we're going to skip that key specifically. So now we have our first Stalfos. Hopefully they're nice. Oh, you were very nice. Thank you.
I mean, aggressive, but it's good for you.
And
Yeah.
if you notice those flames when the Stalfos die and like how the little bones just fly off, those particle effects are one of the few things that lag this game. And yeah.
Alright, so now we're going to get this small key. We need to get this small key because if we don't fight those Stalfos, then we actually wouldn't be able to get the bow. Because the room that you get the bow is that room, but it's on the second level. Alright, now we're going to cast Ferori's Wind again. But before we get the bow, we're actually going to go and complete the Forest Temple. So, using the hookshot right here, I can get into this railing and out of bounds, and I can fall straight into the loading zone for the Phantom Ganon boss room. And so now we can fight Phantom Ganon. So the reason, like the routing for this is kind of weird. I guess we're going to be beating the dungeon before we get the bow, and the reason we cast Ferori's Wind is so that we could get back to that spot in the dungeon to complete it once we're done here. Because there's like afterwards when we go into the Blue Warp doesn't really send us anywhere useful that we need to go. we're actually going to be attempting to use Ferori's Wind as we go into the blue warp so that we can just go straight back to where we were in the Forest Temple.
Yeah, if you remember earlier when I was talking about first explaining the blue warp, wrong warps, I mentioned the 4 warps you could potentially do wrong warps on. I didn't mention Forest Temple because Forest Temple sends you straight to the Chamber stages, and that's not a type of cutscene we can wrong warp off. So you don't really get a wrong warp.
Yeah.
And
But using Pharaoh's Wind, you can skip that cutscene.
yeah, and something we forgot to mention is whenever you use Pharaoh's Wind into one of the blue warps, you still get the item that the blue warp gives you because, what is it? The blue warp, or that cutscene gives you the item, I think it's either 2 or 3 times, but once at the beginning and once when you get it in the cutscene, and then potentially a 3rd time depending on the cutscene at the very end. They really want to make sure you have it.
We're on to phase 2 of the fight, and Jim's going to try and finish it quickly by shooting the hook shot right as Phantom Ganon is about to get up. Very well done.
That's real good.
Yeah, that strat is not very easy, so I'm glad that I was able to get that. Now we have this somewhat lengthy cutscene. We can read a donation now.
All right, here is Boonus donating $20 and saying, "Hey GDQ, Boonus here. Good luck to Gymnast with the run."
Thank you. I'm going to need that good luck right now. All right, so here's the blue warp. Now, just like the Dodongo's Cavern blue warp, I'm going to have to do a side hop into the blue warp and attempt to use Ferori's Wind with restricted items to skip the cutscene, which is, again, very difficult. So we're going to do a save before this, just in case. Because this cutscene is very long. Even if we fail the cutscene skip, we'll want to try it again.
One of the longest cutscenes in the game, even with quick text.
All right, nice. This
Nice.
should work. All right, beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah. And the important thing is he has to side up on the very edge. If you go too close in, you can still get Pharaoh's Wind on the correct frame, but it just won't come up.
And you have to open the menu like on the second half of the jump too, or else
Yeah.
you can't. It becomes restricted again before you land in the blue warp.
Yeah, so now we're going to go get the bow. It's a bit of an interesting journey. We're going to start this off with a ledge clip through this Song of Time block so that we can get to this door back here. And now we're going to introduce you guys to this really fun glitch that involves the hookshot and the hover boots. Whee!
Shout outs to Doommaker for literally nothing.
All right. Now we're going to try the Dense Fire Actor glitch again, except this time I can actually see where the bomb is in the explosion. Okay, a little bit early. Oh, all right, very nice. So this is the frame I want to open the door on. Or I'll cast Dense Fire, apparently. That's not good. That's okay, though. There's magic in this room that we can get. So this room, there's the Floor Master, but thankfully whenever you kill the Floor Master, you get more magic.
Since you're here, do you want to just get the key as a backup?
Yeah, I can just get the key. I mean,
In
yeah.
case you try too many times, because this is a really cool trick and saves too much time. Yeah, this trick, this use of the Dense Fire Actor glitch doesn't just save a key, it also skips the whole block puzzle, which saves 50-something seconds.
Yeah, all right, so let's try this again.
That looked like it should have worked.
Yeah, I think the issue last time was that I just used Dense Fire too early. Unfortunately, that's a frame late. Yeah, so I'm home buffering here to just try to get the correct frame. So it's 1 frame after this one. Ooh, okay.
Oh,
The mythical 1-frame buffer.
yeah, that was incredible.
There we go. All right. So we opened the door, except not really.
Good. Second try still good.
Yeah, the hard part's over,
The trick's also dumb.
but yeah.
Yeah, so he opened the door, but he didn't go through it. So,
So now this whole room is loaded, and we can phase through this door.
Yeah.
that's how you save the key. You need a key still in order to open that door, but it doesn't take it from you when the room isn't fully loaded.
So the important things to note from the Dense Fire Actor glitch is he quick spins so that the bomb could knock him out of the Dense Fire animation, and then the ending of the Dense Fire camera as he tried to open the door meant he could gain control while the door was trying to open so that he can move away from the door so that he could stay in the outside room, and so that room would stay partially loaded, and then by entering the well and then exiting, he could make the inside room, the one he was didn't want to go into, that would become now partially loaded, which meant that door It still checks if he had a key, but it wouldn't actually use the key, so he could save it.
Yeah, thankfully those Stalfos are actually pretty good except for the last one. And so now we can get to the bow. Although we're actually not going to use the bow for quite a while. But of course, since we're in Forest Temple now. But now we're done with Forest Temple, so we're going to use the Bolero of Fire to get out. Because we're actually going to be tackling the Deku Tree next, which is the shortest dungeon in the entire run. So the way we're getting to the Deku Tree is we're going to go through Goron City and then through the Lost Woods, because the Lost Woods links most of the parts of this game's overworld together. Also, one thing that we didn't mention earlier is that this game actually has gyro controls, so I can move around the system while I'm aiming stuff like the bow or the hookshot, or even just in first person for stuff, which is really nice. It's much faster than using the circle pad to aim. If I'm close enough, that is. There we go. Also, one neat feature that Grezzo added is they added like a sort of exaggerated hookshot marker whenever it's aiming at something that you can actually hookshot onto, which is nice. Oh, wow, I actually got something useful from that grass for once. Usually that grass never gives me anything useful. Alright, so here we are in Kokiri Forest, although I'm actually going to want to enter back into the Lost Woods again because I need to set Furori's Wind at this specific entrance for another wrong warp. Surprise, surprise. Alright, but normally the Deku Tree is closed as Adult Link and you can't get in. But that's only if the map is actually fully loaded. So we're going to get to the Deku Tree while the map isn't fully loaded and where the mouth actually isn't there, because the mouth is considered to be an actor. Let's see if I can get some stuff here. Okay, that's good enough. So thankfully I was able to get full magic from that grass. Right here I'm going to be doing a trick called a hover boost. I don't know if I can line up correctly. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to buffer to one of 2 frames of the bomb explosion here. Alright, so this is the second frame. This works. And right as that happens, I'm going to put on the hover boots so I can go really far with the hover boots on top of that house, and then I can get out of bounds here. And this skips past the loading trigger for the Deku Tree. So, Deku Tree looks pretty cool right now.
And if you notice the hover boots activated there for a moment, that's where the mouth would be. There's just a hole in the floor. Because normally the mouth blocks that, and as child, the mouth lowers to create a floor there.
Alright, so we're going to need the hookshot and some Deku Nuts.
Wrong buttons.
No. Alright, so here's our friend hookshot jumping.
Whee!
Very fun. Oh, dang. Navi told us how to use a door.
So that glitch, hookshot jumping, is one thing you could use to get into Dodongo's, or the King Dodongo boss fight, but like Jim mentioned earlier, it's very precise and difficult and not worth it.
It's precise because you need to get what's called a max height hookshot jump, which can be difficult.
Yeah, so that's how you do Deku Tree as adults. It's just 2 hookshot jumps, then you jump slash the wall, and you're into the loading zone to Goma's room. So I'm sure you guys all remember how difficult Goma was. Being the first boss that you face, and you have absolutely no idea what you're supposed to do. Thankfully, this fight's over in like 5 seconds, so 1 jump slash, 2 quick spins, and she's dead. And now we have another blue warp. For the blue warp, though, we're going to get this heart container. And, of course, do a save just for safety. Alright, so just like before, we're going to side hop into the blue warp. Oh, okay. Okay, unfortunately, there's no reason to try to keep doing that. I was 1 frame late on the restricted items. I could tell because if the top screen lights up, that means that you were too late with your home buffer. So we have to go back to the boss room now. It's okay, though, because we get to do some cool jumps to get there. So we can read a donation or 2 more now while we do this again.
All right, here is Aaron Toad 99 chiming in again, this time with Draconif, giving you $19.67, saying, "Hey Jim, what do you think you're doing? You need to free all the Gorons and then free the 3 remaining in Master Quest."
Isn't Isn't it the 4 remaining in Master Quest?
Yeah, it's 4.
Aaron Toad with his wrong statistics.
Here is $50 from Scrivo and Joel, and I hope you know these folks. It says, good luck with the rest of the OOT run, Jim. Steve and Bernard wonder when you're coming to visit them again. And how about $5 from Neri and Zane, just because it's going to keep with the theme here. They said, just got married, and this is how we're spending our honeymoon. Thanks for all you guys do. The theme there was, I just read 3 donations that were from 2 people. There you go. Got Aaron Tone Dragonif, Scrivo and Joel, and Neri and Zane. So thank you all very much for your donations.
Very nice.
Oh. I don't know, maybe this still isn't close enough. I don't know, okay. Yeah, unfortunately, during those 2 attempts, there were, like, I wasn't quite close enough to the blue warp, so, like, we just didn't activate it. Unfortunately, the time that I didn't make it, we were close enough to the blue warp. It's funny how it works out like that. We can keep on just rolling off donations now.
All right, here's one from Mark. They donated $25 to the TwitchCon Charity Plaza and said, Zelda is one of my favorite games of all time. Wonderful time watching in front of a wonderful community. It's nice to know all the funds donated actually go to a great place in this stream. Thanks, Mark. And the fun thing about their donation, that was all in caps. I decided to save your ears, though. I didn't didn't scream it at everyone. Yeah, thank you, Mark. And also Blake with a $25 donation. Blake said, first time I'm getting to watch live, so I had to make a donation. Thanks for all you guys do. And thank you, Blake. Yeah, it's incredible. We do these events time and again, and there's always someone who hasn't seen one live yet, right? You get introduced through VODs or something like that, so... always good to have the new audience. And then here's Zadok with a $15 donation says, what's this? Extra GDQ? Take my money.
As we mentioned earlier, failing the restricted items for wrong warps, or blue warp wrong warps, is very punishing. So it's worth it to home buffer.
Yeah, so all these times I've been late with the restricted items, unfortunately. So I guess I'll just have to be earlier. Hookshot jumping can also be a little bit tricky sometimes.
It's a little bit easier if you put hookshot and boots on the correct buttons.
These are the correct buttons.
They're not.
Yes,
They
they
are.
are.
They're not.
They are.
They're not.
They are. They are. What's wrong with you, dude?
Hookshot goes. Hookshot goes. Why?
Hookshot goes on X.
Why?
All right, I got a feeling this time we're going to get it. All right.
All right, that's it.
This should work as long
we're
as we're not
close
too
enough.
high. Yes,
There we
okay.
go.
Oh, perfect.
So, and this wrong warp that he just got goes to the Lost Woods. This is the Lost Woods, right?
Yeah, you really haven't played this game recently, have you?
Well, on the bright side, this is the last time where he would have to continuously attempt it over and over
Yeah.
if he doesn't get it.
Yeah. This is the last blue warp, wrong warp in the game because we've entered every other wrong warpable blue warp. He just has to use Fair's Wind for the cutscene skip at the end of, or for the blue warp cutscene skip at the end of this dungeon, which if you fail, it's not as bad as failing a wrong warp.
Yeah, the cutscene skips at the end of Spirit and Shadow Temple thankfully aren't that long. The reason that we would have retried Forest Temple if we didn't get it the first time is because the Forest Temple cutscene is really long.
Yeah, it's. When was the last time I saw that cutscene?
Have you ever seen one of those?
Years ago. It's.
Anyway,
Yeah.
now we're going to just walk up this slope and jump up to the left arm over here so we can get the mirror shield.
Oh yeah, mirror shield early. That's a thing. You can also do that as child. It's allowed in glitchless. It's really cool. N64 is really jealous.
And so now we essentially skipped, the first half of Spirit Temple with that wrong warp. So I'm going to equip the mirror shield and the Goron tunic again because we'll need it later. Now we get to fight these lovely iron knuckles. Just lots of jump slashing. Equip our hookshot again for some more hookshot jumping that we'll be doing shortly. All right, so coming up, there's a small puzzle that I need to solve to get a small key. I'm going to irritate these Armos because I want to hope that they end up dropping bombs, because my bomb count needs to be higher for the rest of the run. I'll wait for them to explode. Okay, camera angle didn't let us see if there were any bomb drops. Hopefully we got some, though. Ideally, I would like to have full bombs coming out of here. Okay, we got 2, so hopefully we can get one more bomb drop from these guys. Alright, a rupee and a bomb. The rupee was courtesy. Thank you.
Left a tip.
Okay, so this room, we have more hookshotable stuff, and it's a vertical room, so why don't we do a hookshot jump?
Whee!
That's the boss key. We don't need it. Alright, so
This is a
these
fun puzzle.
chains... yeah, this puzzle's real fun. So this is going to be the Spirit Temple boss key skip. If I can do hookshot jumping. There we go.
And we have a little bit of air maneuverability
Oh.
in the.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I ended up hitting the wall, but I can just cast Furoy's Wind and then return to it to bring me back up to the top of the room, so that's okay. My hookshot jump wasn't quite high enough. The height that you get with a hookshot jump depends on how far up you aim the hookshot, so I just had to aim a little bit higher. Thankfully, there's also magic in that pot right there, so we can refill on that. Alright, should be high enough.
So we have a little bit of maneuverability in the air. It's not a lot, but it's enough to hit this loading zone with enough height.
Alright, so the Twin Rova, or I guess the Iron Knuckle fight, or the Naburu Knuckle fight, plus the Twin Rova fight, is actually more than half of the time that we spend in Spirit Temple. So they're like the actual Spirit Temple part itself is really fast, but then when we get to the boss, things just unfortunately slow down a bit with all the cutscenes and stuff, and the fact that the Twin Rova boss fight is just really slow in itself. So Naburu Knuckle is not that different compared to regular Iron Knuckles. Basically use the same strategy to defeat it. So there are 2 attacks that Naburu Knuckle has. There's the overhead attack, and then there's the sideways attack. The over one is nice because it means that I can get in a quick spin for 2 extra damage after the attack, whereas after the side swipe, I don't have that much time. Alright.
A hit from the knuckle would do
4 hearts.
Yeah.
So
4 hearts.
not a lot of room for error there.
This cutscene is skippable, just like how it is on N64. I think either Aaron or Ben got it once. I think I remember them saying, but it's not really worth it.
Yeah, again, the text here is so fast. Thanks to faster text scrolling and just quick text in general. Alright, so not much exciting stuff is going to happen until we're pretty much finished with the Twin Rova fights. We can rattle off more donations if we have them.
Sure, we do have some that I can indeed rattle through. First off, $5 from Jamama, again on a very important topic. Remember, everyone, hook shot on X, boots on Y.
Yeah, your mama's a good man.
Jemima, you're
Jamama.
wrong.
Here is $20 from 572, who is chipping in a bit more because of the couch hugs. They said, this is for the hugs. Go Gymnast86 and say hi to your 85 gymnast siblings.
We don't talk about those. I'm going to have to ban that user next time I stream.
And we also received $15 from A Bad Idea, who is donating additional because of something that happened before I began reading donations. So I actually don't know what they're referring to, but they say, hi again. You didn't put on the blindfold, but here's the other $15. So thanks, A Bad Idea, for following through with your extra money. Charos DX donated $30 and said, greetings from Germany. First time donating. Good luck to all the runners. I feel like I've read that comment before. Like, deja vu. But thank you, Charos. We appreciate the generosity, of course. One more for you, or?
Yeah, you can read one more.
All right. Here's a $10 anonymous donation saying, IRL lurking is fun. Glad I can finally see GDQ live. It's pretty awesome.
So you can hold the other Twin River Sister in place by firing the hookshot constantly. During the other sister firing at you, it's if they're in a good place, like the Ice Twin River is now, you can hold it there and then it's an easy hit, but sometimes they don't even cooperate with you.
Yeah, also, it's kind of random depending on when they decide to fire at you or not. So this Twin River was probably going to move across. Oh, no, okay, she wasn't going to. I assumed she would move across to the left, but she was actually going to sort of bank around to the right, so I had to hold her in place. Alright, so that's it for the very exciting first phase. Now we get to the slightly more exciting second phase, although it's honestly still not all that interesting or different from a regular playthrough. Alright, so I can shoot the hookshot here after she gives me an attack to make her spin, and that'll actually make her move away quicker so that she can get to the next area and fire the next attack, except on the third cycle of each attack phase, because I want to be as close as possible to her so I can begin damaging as soon as possible. And so with these jump slashes, we're going to get Twin Rova down to exactly half of her HP, which means that she won't attempt to do any sort of mixing up between the elements that she shoots at us, which she begins to do once she gets below half of her health. And if that were to happen, it would be even more RNG added to the fight that could potentially waste a lot of time. So 3 more jump slashes.
So this death cutscene is actually kind of interesting. On the N64 version of this game, you can do a glitch called Phantom Twin Rova, where if you kill Twin Rova in a very, very specific way, and just wait around for 8 minutes, she will come back and start attacking you. She's not there, but she starts shooting beams, and you can kill her again, and it spawns another heart container, and you can use that to get a very large number of hearts if you want to wait around 8 minutes each time. I don't know if anyone has tested that on 3D, but it's a really funny glitch.
Alright, so once the sisters are done arguing, we can attempt the Spirit Temple cutscene skip. Spirit Temple cutscene skip is actually a little bit more difficult than the other ones because we don't have very much room to maneuver around on the platform. Because the warp portal is, just on here. So we want to be at the very edge of the platform right here. Okay. Frame late again, but that's alright. We'll just watch the cutscene.
Yeah, like Zahir mentioned, this is the least punishing.
So with Deku Tree, it was very integral that he got the wrong warp because not only does it skip the Emerald cutscene, which is kind of long, but it also brings us to Spirit Temple, and if he didn't do that, he would have to cross Gerudo Valley, cross the fortress, and cross the Haunted Wasteland, which is just a very long amount of time.
At Dodongo's Cavern, we wrong warped into the Nocturne cutscene, getting Nocturne way earlier than we're supposed to, so that's also very important to not miss.
Yeah. Even though, Jim, you got Nocturne, but you haven't used it.
Yeah, I know.
Are you sure you remembered the route correctly?
Yeah, I do. Don't worry. We're going to use it right after this to go to Shadow Temple, right?
Oh, yeah, that is right.
Yeah. See, it saves traveling time, of course.
Yeah. Yes. There's actually an interesting glitch with this cutscene and the Shadow Temple cutscene. If you can manage to get this cutscene skip, but then fail the Shadow Temple cutscene skip, you'll actually end up back at Desert Colossus. And I remember reading why, but I forgot what the exact reason was.
Wow.
Yeah, a bit of an interesting effect with that one.
Yeah. So, for people that say Spirit before Shadow, no.
Alright, so played the Nocturne of Shadow. Here we are at the graveyard. With Din's Fire, we can easily get into the Shadow Temple. We could get into Shadow Temple without Din's Fire, but we have Din's Fire, so we're going to use it. All right, time for Shadow Temple. So to start off, we're just going to use the hover boots to get across this gap. Now we'll see what RNGesus has to say about this run, because this is the Truth Spinner. So with the Truth Spinner, the only possible solutions are one of the back 3 skulls, so we just have to try them in this order, basically, and hope that we get it first try.
A fun fact about the Truth Spinner is, if you ever heard of the Monte Carlo problem, they did that on the Truth Spinner. So the one he just checked is actually twice as likely as, I think it's the one on the right, and then the one in the middle is the least likely.
Wow. And that was the one it was.
All right, so now the hookshot is going to be used for another trick coming up in this next room called hookshot clipping. Unfortunately, or well, not unfortunately, surprisingly, it doesn't get very much use in this category. This is only one of 2 hookshot clips, at least that I'm going to do for you guys today. So basically, by just sort of maneuvering into the wall while I have the hookshot out, I can shoot the hookshot through the wall and grab things with it.
It's a good replacement for weird shots, which potentially could work in a task-only setting in this game, but they're not really going to be usable RTA in this game.
Yeah, and then right there, I was able to skip a really huge portion of Shadow Temple by clipping through the wall right there with the bomb.
Yeah, and you didn't even have to use Pharaoh's Wind to do it.
And now we have the boat. And the bells. They like artistically, they completely changed what this boat looked like for 3D. I think it looks much better in 3D, personally, than it does in N64. Although, there's not really much we can do on this boat ride. We can kill Stalfos, I guess. So while we're on this boat ride, we can read some donations.
Okay. We have a $10 donation from Kauta, who says, hello, Gymnast. Good luck on the run, my friend.
Thank you.
And Zahir. I hope there will be lots of chest games tomorrow. Charles donated $10 and just said, I love you, Christina. So we just wanted Christina to know. Here's a $20 donation from the Sanctuary for Wayward Geeks. Just says more love, more hugs from the Sanctuary, and good luck on the run, Jim.
Thank you.
I promise, Kato, there'll be lots of chess games.
Okay.
So in this game, you cannot do something, or you cannot stand on the bells, which I don't know why you ever would. It's a dumb thing to do, and you're likely to just fall off.
Only a fool would stand on the bells.
So there is an optional hookshot clip we could do here to get to the boss key chest, to skip this Din's Fire use, but it's really hard to do, and I usually never get it, so I'm not going to go for it. We do want to get rid of that redid, though, because otherwise when we try to roll away from the boss key chest, he's going to scream at us. Also, this is the only boss key we're getting in the entire run. It is technically possible to do Shadow Temple boss key skip, but it's not a good idea.
And N64 has boat skip, which lets them go from the hover bridge room straight to the end room. We've tried looking into that. If it's possible, it's really difficult, or just something dumb that we haven't thought of yet, and we're idiots.
All right, so right there we did a mega slide hop, where we do a mega flip and then equip the hover boots so that we can slide really far after we hit the ground again, because we have a lot of speed from the mega flip. And that allows us to get behind, or it allows us to get across the pit without having to shoot the other side, or shoot the bomb arrows on the other side with the bow. All right, so I'm going to be setting Furoi's Wind here. For the potential cutscene skip we can do here in Shadow Temple, but it's also going to be useful right at the end of the run, so remember the fact that we set Furoi's Wind here. Boing! so this is Bongo Bongo. Unfortunately, not Bongo Cat, but Bongo Bongo is still good. So when this fight starts, I'm going to hold down on the circle pad so that the hands don't try to circle around me, so that I can shoot them right away with the bow. Alright, it can be a little bit hard sometimes. Whoop, okay. Yeah, it can be a little hard sometimes with all the bouncing that's going on. And here we're attempting to one-cycle Bongo Bongo with quick spins. Unfortunately, my quick spins weren't quite good enough.
So close. I think Bongo Bongo's favorite game is Donkey Kongo.
Alright, there we go. To watch this very silent death cutscene. But once Bongo fuses with the drum, I guess, we can get the heart container and then attempt our final cutscene skip, which hopefully we will get.
Not the final one. You have one more.
Oh, yeah, well, okay. The last one that uses restricted items. The last really difficult one.
Well, this type of restricted items.
Okay, so I'll line up again. All right, nice.
Yeah,
We should get this. All right, excellent.
Nice.
All right, so we just used Ferori's Wind to do that cutscene skip, so now I actually have to cast Ferori's Wind again, because we still need it for something that we need to do at the end of the run up here in Bongo's room.
So for those keeping track at home, we have the Kokiri Emerald, the Goron Ruby, the Zora Sapphire, the Forest Medallion, the Fire Medallion, the Shadow Medallion, and the Spirit Medallion. Let's go
And the
beat
Light
the
Medallion.
and the Light Medallion. So let's go beat the trials.
Yep.
Don't need the last medallion or anything.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so this is just going to place us outside Shadow Temple, because we want to save warp back to Temple of Time to get the light arrows now.
Shadow and Spirit blue warps are actually the only two blue warps that they don't check if you've entered them. They just check if they have the item that they would give you. So because he did the cutscene skip, he was given the Shadow Medallion, so just entering it just doesn't play the cutscene. He goes right outside. And Light Arrow cutscene only checks for Shadow and Spirit Medallion, nothing else. So, yeah.
Yeah, so this cutscene is also very long, and it also it shows us a cutscene that we've already seen before. So if we want to rattle off even more donations, we have plenty of time for that now.
All right. Let's start with this. I realize the power of this microphone, and I'm hesitant to open the floodgates to bad jokes. However, $25 from Funcron here in their comment. How long does it take King Zora to take a move? A week, a week, a week. Thank you, Funcron. Also, here's a $25 anonymous donation. They said, I'm in a cheesy mood right now, but I'm not sure what to say. Pretend I said something cheesy and nice and take $25. This is my first time seeing this live, and I'm glad to have the weekend off to watch. Well, thank you, Anonymous. That was quite sappy but beautiful. We appreciate how corny and yet wonderful your comment was.
I thought he was cheesy.
Yeah, something like that. Yep, he came off a little cheesy. So thanks a lot. Here's another anonymous $10 donation. We thank you all so much. They say, my first donation and first live GDQ. The whole pigeon donated $10, said, I stepped away and missed the hug, but I heard that it happened. So yay! So thank you for coming through with your follow-up donation.
I mean, you could donate again if you want it to happen again so you can see it.
Yeah,
Get a live one before the end of the run.
Past
all right.
broadcasts don't exist.
Who's this
All right,
mystery man?
I'll if I see them chime in for more hugs requests, I will butt in and let you guys know.
Yeah, Sheikah Zelda, yay.
Spoilers, dude.
Oh, right, sorry. Some people haven't played this game before.
Or Melee.
Or Melee, yeah, or any of the Smash Bros. Games besides the N64 one. Yeah, this
Wait,
cutscene's
Sheikah
like...
Zelda?
Yeah, you didn't know? Have any of you played this game before? Why are you guys commentating this with me?
It's an excellent question.
You chose us.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, he kind of just picked me up off the street, but
So, if you're familiar with the N64 version, you might know that this cutscene is used for a glitch called Bottle Adventure. As was mentioned at the very beginning of this run, MST is a legacy category from when Ocarina of Time N64 first got its big glitches 10 plus years ago. So certain glitches like Bottle Adventure, Reverse Bottle Adventure, GIM, and I think those are the three main ones, or a couple others that are completely banned in this category.
Yeah, any sort of inventory manipulation isn't allowed in this category. Because with inventory manipulation, like, you can get a whole host of items without actually getting them. Like, you can get some of the medallions or some of the songs.
You could even get the hammer in Deku Tree, and then Fire Temple would be rather short.
Yeah.
And most important thing about that is you have to actually beat Ganon. You can't just run warp straight to the credits, which would be possible and is done in any percent, all dungeons, and 100%.
Better rules, yeah.
Yeah. And something that a certain other game should look into.
Alright, this 4-minute cutscene is almost over. We just have to hear an evil laugh.
Where's your Ganondorf laugh?
No. Alright, so we're in the Temple of Time, which means that Ganon's castle is pretty close, so we can go do the trials now. And around that corner. Okay, so normally, to get into Ganon's castle, you need to spawn the Rainbow Bridge so that you can gain access, which we could do. But thankfully, there's this really cool trick that we can do called the Hassel-Hess 3D, which allows us to get over to Ganon's castle without the need for the Rainbow Bridge. So we're going to attempt to do that now. It is really tough, though, so we might not end up getting it. But hopefully I'm good enough to pull it off here. Oh, okay, I didn't think that was going to work. Surprised it did. Okay. And we're good.
Hey, you hassled the Hess, Jim. Good going. You hassled the Hess, man. Good stuff.
Thank you. All right, so now we're inside Ganon's castle, as the game likes to very descriptively tell us. All right, so as far as routing for the trials goes, we're just going to go in a big circle, because that's the fastest thing to do. This room right here is the entire reason we get Din's Fire. Ooh, okay, nice. We didn't kill the Wolfos. Killing the Wolfos is, oops, okay. Let's shoot that, all right. Yeah, killing a Wolfos isn't good, because then a chest spawns in with a cutscene, and it wastes a whole bunch of time. So that was nice. This next room of Forest Temple, we just have to collect all the silver rupees. Oop, okay, didn't quite make it back to the platform. That's fine, though. There we go, all right. And we can equip light arrows here, because we'll need to use light arrows to, you know, free the sages and all that stuff. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna void out again. That's fine, though. We collected all the silver rupees, so the door's still open. Just gotta go to it now. Oh, he got me. Alright, and we can get a magic refill here. We need to keep on refilling magic, because every time we get to the end of a trial, we have to shoot a light arrow. Hurry up, Ree.
so impatient.
Alright, so 1 trial down, 5 more to go.
So next you got the water trial, which actually has 0 water whatsoever.
Yeah.
And you have to deal with this piece of garbage of a hookshot clip that, you'd have to be a complete god to get it first try every time.
Oh, of course.
This was one of the final things that, I mean, you could use a bottle and catch the blue fire that's right behind you and melt the ice. That is slower than getting the clip first try, but this, I believe, was one of the last things before MST could skip a bottle.
Yeah, that and being able to get into Jabu without a bottle. But yeah, so we're attempting to do a hookshot clip off of these freezers as they come over here. Okay, that was unfortunately a little early. We have to do it like right as we come into contact with the freezers, so the timing is pretty tight. Thankfully, we can just keep on retrying over and over again, though.
As long as you don't kill the freezards.
Yes.
The freezards, I believe it's 2 hook shots kill them. I could be misremembering.
Oh, wow, nice.
Um,
Good roll.
and if one of them were to accidentally die, that would be fine. But if both of them die, this run would be uncompletable.
If you're known to quick spin in frustration, this is not the room to do it.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely not. Unless you know that and you save beforehand just in case. There we go.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
It's as my boy Jamama says, you had to had hookshot on X. That's why you didn't get first try.
All right, so right here we also don't have any blue fire, but thankfully we can just do a hammer slide to clip past that ice and back here. All right, so that's it for the water trial with no water. More magic. Says, wait a minute, we didn't beat the water temple. Oh, I guess we'll have to do that after the trials then, huh?
Yeah, we didn't free Ruto at all. I don't know why she's here.
Not sure which trial is best to mention this after, but Brandon just donated $5, said donating for another hug. So, not sure when the interruption's best, but
Next trial.
okay.
Oh, yeah, because next up is Shadow Trial. So I need to equip Din's Fire and Bombs again. So Shadow Trial is going to start off with another Hover Boost, because that's the only way we can get over to this torch.
Hover boost or something effectively the same thing. You could do a Hess with hover boots or
Hammer slide.
hammer slide or mega slide hop.
Yeah, so it's up to the runner's choice what they want to do.
Yeah, they're all roughly the same speed. Unless you're Jamama, in which case you have to do the hammer slide.
There's an invisible platform right there, which is why I was able to roll over it.
And Jim's just gonna hookshot back from this platform. On 3D, it's a little bit precise, but it's not that bad. On N64, it's very precise. You have to be on the very edge, and then even then, it's just a little bit of the chest that's hookshotable. But in 3D, they actually they made it so you can see more of Link's arm, which meant the only way they could do that was if they pushed where the hookshot is out a little bit further from Link, which means even though the chain is the same length, it starts from a little bit further, so you can end up hookshotting things that are just a little bit further away.
You guys. I'm sure Impa appreciated the hug too.
So we got gold gauntlets there. There's one trial that is blocked by a block that you need gold gauntlets to move, sort of. You can get through the door without moving the block.
Yeah, it's possible to completely skip gold gauntlets, but it's not really worth it.
There's 2 ways. One requires getting on top of the block, and the other requires getting out of bounds and doing a bunch of dupes.
And as soon as you've messed it up once, it's no longer worth it, I'm pretty sure.
The getting on top would technically be faster, but harder. Doing the dupes is definitely not worth it.
Yeah, so there's a way you can get inside this giant pillar to get the 1 rupee that's inside there that we need to complete this room. Because then, I mean, it's faster to do that even if you do have the gold gauntlets, because then you skip this cutscene of Link throwing it backwards.
But then you don't have the platform to get to that last rupee, so
Yeah.
again, it makes it a little bit harder.
That guy can cause many troubles, so make sure to slash him once so that he can't do that. Alright, so now, normally you need the long shot to get to the end of this trial, but instead I'm going to do another mega slide hop right here.
Normally that central platform is supposed to like sink under Link's weight, but if you're wearing the hover boots, it doesn't actually sink. So he unequipped the hover boots at the last possible second to do the mega slide hop.
Now that we freed Darunia, the fire barrier is dispelled.
Yeah, so four trials down, 2 to go. Those were the hardest 4 trials. The next 2 trials, the light trial and the spirit trial, are like the easiest trials. So if we want to rattle off even more donations, we can, because not very much interesting stuff happens in these 2 either.
Okay, certainly some that we want to get around to here. How about Polly Swag with a $15 donation, and their comment saying, favorite game of all time, awesome run and awesome runner, great job, gymnast.
Thank you.
Here is a $10 donation from Shady Wadey, who says, had to donate to a great Zelda runner. Good luck, Jim, and also good luck on your runs here. Here is $5 from, all right, a bit off topic, but I'm going to accept it. Funny science jokes. Their comment, you matter unless you multiplied yourself by the speed of light. Then you energy. Thank you very much for the donation.
Thanks, Shady.
Here is a free tea with a $10 donation saying, so amazing what gamers are not only doing, but setting an example for other aspects of culture and what to do. Love to all from Norway. Also have $25 from Jamco here. Says, hey, I'm so happy that GDQ Express is here. I need more speedruns in my life. Shoutouts to Hammy, who's been lighting it up on the GDQ Discord. See you all at AGDQ.
Yeah, just for context of that, there's a user in the GDQ Discord who's been typing for like the last 48 hours or something. We don't know what they're typing.
Oh, nice. I thought that was just like a reference to one of the regulars or something who actually... yeah. I know I've been in the Discord, and then between events, I never say anything.
All right, time for Spirit Trial. So this is another Silver Rupee room. The devs really loved their silver rupees when they made the trials. I'm also intentionally taking a little bit of damage here. Or at least I'm trying to. There we go.
Yeah, Jim's taking damage because he's bad.
And we're going to do another hookshot clip right here. Yeah, hookshot clip. And then normally you need the fire arrows to burn this web, but thankfully with a well-angled arrow shot, we can just do it with regular arrows.
And just like how Water Trial had no water, here is the light puzzle not in Light Trial.
Oops, wait a minute, I need that. There we go. Yeah.
A little ahead of yourself.
All right. So that is all of the trials.
We have the S and the T. Time for the M.
The one medallion that you forgot.
Yeah, I forgot the water medallion. Guess we'll just have to go back for it.
It seems like it makes more sense to do the medallions before you do the trials. That's crazy.
Does anything Grezzo did, or does anything that Grezzo did make sense?
No, not really.
Hover boots and iron boots.
Yeah, fair point. Anyway, so the technical requirement for beating the trials is watching this cutscene right here and dispelling that barrier. So we're going to go to Water Temple, but we actually need to go into this mouth first because we want to play Bolero of Fire.
For whatever reason, Ocarina and Pharaoh's Wind is allowed in Ganon's Tower, but not Ganon's Castle. For some reason.
Yeah. There is actually a way we could do an Ocarina items glitch to use the Ocarina anywhere, but it's...
Warp songs still wouldn't work. No, you could. Sorry, you could use Ocarina. Just warp songs wouldn't work.
Yeah.
You get a you cannot warp away or some text box. It's been a while.
Alright, so now we have another opportunity to do Death Hole Wrong Warping. Once the timer runs out. Alright. So we die again. Oh no, we're so bad.
We're bad. We're not playing.
You're commentating this run. Alright. So now, the last time we set Ferore's Wind, it was in Bongo Bongo's room. And it just so happens that doing Death Hole Wrong Warp to that Ferore's Wind spot places us in Morpha's boss room. So, let's do Water Temple.
Yeah, and he also has the coordinates from where FW is set, which in Bongo Bongo's room it's at the very top, so...
Yeah, that's why we fell all the way down.
Yeah.
Alright, but there's still a bit of an issue. In Death Hole Wrong Warp mode, we can only use what's on our X and Y buttons, and I don't have the hookshot on my X or Y buttons. I have bombs in Ferore's Wind.
You know how to do Morpho without a hookshot, right?
No. That is not a good idea. But anyway, so in Death Hole Wrong Warp mode, we're actually going to do the Ocarina items glitch now.
Yeah, on N64 you can do it with the bottle. That doesn't quite work. Instead you have to do it with the bomb.
Alright, nice.
First try, nice.
Very nice.
So the interesting thing is he's still in Death Mole, but his bottom screen looks normal. If he does anything to dim his buttons, he will lose the ability to use the item. Or use that button. And you can only dim them all at once. So if he crouch stabs, or if he shields to do a crouch stab to trap more from the corner, he loses a button ability. If he jump slashes, he loses the ability to do a jump or to use his buttons, and a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah.
Lucky he did none of them.
Yeah, so that's why we just did regular slashes on Morpha. Yeah, Morpha's really easy. If you can get her in the corner, then she can't go anywhere.
And the nice thing is we are still in Death Hole, which means we have Death Hole unrestricted items, so no more side hopping and one frame to use FW.
Yeah.
Always important to remember to set FW.
Yes.
You technically don't need to set it. Actually, wait, yeah, you do for the cutscene skip.
Yeah.
You do.
I was thinking for the part after the cutscene skip.
And yeah, so obviously you can just use Ferore's Wind going into the warp now.
Actually,
Yay, we skipped the cutscene.
no, you're in Death Hole. You don't actually need to set it FW to skip the cutscene. The cutscene just doesn't play.
Yeah, that's correct, but it's very slightly faster to use Ferore's Wind. Alright, so now we're going to do Ocarina items again, if I can get the right frame for it. The Ocarina items here is frame perfect, so I have to try this again if I don't get the frame. That's one frame too early. Nice. The legendary one frame buffer.
Twice in one run. Amazing.
Alright, so now we're going to play the Nocturne of Shadow. But we were still in Death Hole Wrong Warp mode.
You know you don't want to go to the graveyard, right?
Yeah, I do.
Ganon's not in the graveyard.
Yes, he is.
I knew it. He was hiding there all along.
Yeah. So this is what happens when you play Nocturne of Shadow in Death Hole Wrong Warp mode. It very conveniently happens to place you here at the end of the Ganon's Tower collapse sequence. And because we had the warp cutscene play after we had actually warped to this area, that cancels Death Hole Wrong Warp mode, so now we can just go to the Ganon fight normally.
I said this name already, but huge shout outs to Fox. He's the one that originally found Death Hole Wrong Warps and did a lot of work into it, and he has just done a lot for this game and MM3D and a lot of different games.
Yeah, Fox is an amazing speedrunner, glitch hunter, tasser. We're really lucky to have him in our community. So now we get to watch this nice collapse cutscene. And so obviously the only thing left to do is to beat Ganon, which thankfully we do have one final trick coming up for, which hopefully I can do. Saves like 20 seconds on the fight, and it also looks kind of funny. You want to talk about the potential for skipping this cutscene, nerds?
I'll let Mega do it.
No, I want you to do it, I think.
Okay. So on the N64 version, you might have seen, or so on the N64 version, anyway, when you enter this cutscene, you lose your Master Sword. N64, that's not quite an issue because you have power crouch stab, but having the Master Sword does make things a little bit easier. So they'll super slide in. Super sliding being a glitch that we don't have access to in this game. And instead, we have a different way of keeping the sword. And I'll let Jim show it off.
All right, so one last use of Din's Fire right here. It's gonna line up just like this. Nice. All right.
You got it.
So we're casting Din's Fire right as this cutscene starts. So what that's going to do is that's sort of gonna freeze Link in the animation that he's in right now, where he's basically doing nothing. So, you know, Ganondorf's over here trying to be intimidating with the Triforce of Courage, but Link simply just doesn't care, as we can see now. Just like, huh? Like, all right. It's like, I don't know what's your threat, you know. I've died how many times in this run? Like 5 times. I've been wrong warped around 7 different times.
Smack.
Not interested at all.
Yeah.
It's because Link actually has 2 Master Swords.
Yeah.
You think Ganon's the only one with 2 swords?
Yeah, it's okay. We just got the spare one now. So you can see the hilt of Link's sword still there. Because we still have the Master Sword. So we'll use it on this phase. Makes this phase very short. So phase is over now. Normally it takes 10 hits of something to get through the first phase. But the Master Sword... well, the Master Sword is the only thing that does a substantial amount of damage to Ganon's tail. So...
Everything except the Master Sword is hard-coded to do 1 damage. Master Sword, I believe, does its default damage for whatever attack you're doing.
Yeah, so we can easily just roll under his legs each time for the final hits on the tail. There should just be 1 more hit, because it's 5 jump slashes. And yeah, time's coming up very soon.
Now that we have our final item, the Master Sword of Zelda's power-up.
Yes. All right, time.
That was 2:16:36.
Nice.
Really solid.
So yeah, that's Ocarina of Time 3D. If you guys want to see more Ocarina of Time 3D action, you can follow me on twitch.tv/gymnast86, where I'm currently streaming Ocarina of Time 3D speedruns every time I go live. So if you're interested in that, be sure to give me a follow, and I'll hopefully see you guys in my chat. So thank you.
Also, let that finish. Also, huge shout-outs to other OT 3D runners. Ben Stevens, Game Stable, Zelda Cube, Legend of Zelda LF, Aaron Toad 99, Purple Photon, Great Jamama 92.
The Legend of Zahir.
Oh yeah, Legend Legend of Zahir, who's on this couch.
Right next to you.
Wayfaring Fox, not quite a runner, but a glitch hunter. Seaborn, even though you're not a runner, you're glitch hunter. You've still done a lot. Am I forgetting anyone?
You're forgetting to hug again.
No.
I said Purple Photon. No one
Come on,
donated.
guys. I don't care.
Hugs time.
Literally free hugs.
All right. So yeah, thank you. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of GDQ Express.